Hey everybody, how's it going? Today I wanted to discuss an editorial that came out in the Boston Globe. One of the arguments that I've made recently is that while we haven't won yet, it's starting to feel like this little right to repair boulder that we've been pushing up a mountain for the past 9 years is finally at the top, and we're this close to just doing this and watching it roll down the other side. When you get mainstream media outlets of this size to release editorials with these titles, I think we're just that much closer to that point where we just push the boulder down the other side of the mountain. And while we most certainly still have to be vigilant, we most certainly still have to pay attention and make sure that that boulder goes down the mountain if we want to have property rights into the future and the ability to fix our own stuff, to own our own stuff. I do think that it is going to get easier once an issue is at this point of just being noticed by mainstream outlets. So this says, in the Boston Globe, Massachusetts legislature should pass right to repair bill. Right to repair laws are better for consumers, small businesses, and the environment. The legislature has no reason to oppose them. In the last decade, Massachusetts voters have twice approved right to repair ballot measures for vehicles, both times by overwhelming majorities. Those laws were focused on cars and required manufacturers to share their diagnostics data with independent auto repair shops, giving residents the opportunity to turn to third-party mechanics as opposed to being left with no choice but to go to the dealer shops for car repairs. The law effectively straightens competition for repairs and provides consumers with better deals as a result. Now, the Massachusetts legislature is considering another right to repair bill, this time for electronics like phones and computers. And just as this editorial board endorsed the right to repair for cars, the same logic should apply to electronics as well. Consumers should not have to turn to big manufacturers like Apple, which often overprice their products, hardware, and repair services in order to fix their phones. Ouch! The legislature should approve the bill. Opposition to right to repair bills often comes from the manufacturers, and it almost always focuses on purported cybersecurity risks and the potential for hacking cars or devices. Note the vocabulary that they chose in this editorial. They said purported security issues, as in the person writing this understands that when somebody from the manufacturer says, there's a security issue, and you go, well, what is it? And they go, duh, that they might just be making it up, and there's not at all. I like that. I like that they're finally catching on. In a statement to the editorial board, TechNet, an advocacy group that represents companies like Apple, Google, and Amazon, said these kind of bills create potential for unsafe repairs by forcing manufacturers to provide unrestricted access to digital keys and proprietary information for thousands of internet-connected products, including iPhones, computers, fire alarms, and home security systems. Now, one thing I've done on this channel in detail is I have played the testimony, and I've recorded the testimony when I go to these hearings that is given by lobbying groups like TechNet, and it almost always is word salad that makes no sense. I've recorded this. You guys can watch it on my channel, what I take personally about lobbying against disingenuous people. And one of my most popular, TechNet anti-right to repair lobbyist, I played their testimony and also my response to their testimony. Also, I just take it a little bit personally when I read about TechNet because they have gone out of their way to claim to members of many different legislative bodies that I am a, quote, bully and therefore should not be taken seriously. But yet, yes, I am a bully because when you get paid a six-figure salary to lie and make things up, I show up with a camera, I record what you're saying, and I respond to it to say why it's all made up crap. That is not called bullying, that is called recording you. And if you think that's bullying, maybe there's something wrong with your script, maybe you're reading lines that were made up. And if the public doesn't like what you're saying, it might just be because you made it up to fearmonger them out of their rights as a consumer. But let's just read through the rest of this. But yeah, they have claimed to legislative bodies that I am a bully. And because I am a bully, I should be taken less seriously. Because, again, watch the videos for yourself. But it says here that it can be unsafe because of unrestricted access to digital keys and proprietary information. But the reality is that opening up access to diagnostics does not pose a serious security threat to consumers, at least not any more so than many of the cybersecurity risks they already face with their electronic devices. In fact, according to a report by the FTC, there is, quote, from the FTC, not me paraphrasing, scant evidence to support the manufacturer's justifications for repair restrictions. By limiting access to proprietary diagnostic software, manufacturers end up monopolizing repairs, potentially violating antitrust laws, and, as the FTC pointed out in its report, push consumers to prematurely replace their products with new ones, adding unnecessary costs to households across the country. Now, this FTC report, again, it's an FTC report, but the fact that people in mainstream newspapers are quoting the FTC reports, which, in the FTC report, admittedly, sounds like a giant paraphrasing of my YouTube channel, that's pretty cool, because at that point, you essentially have a paraphrasing of my YouTube channel making its way into a mainstream outlet that is read by legislators in Boston that are going to decide on these laws. That is awesome. Continuing through this article, these types of restrictions can significantly raise costs for consumers, stifle innovation, close off business opportunity for independent repair shops, create unnecessary electronic waste, delay timely repairs, and undermine resiliency, said Lena Khan, the chair of the FTC. Indeed, when manufacturers effectively have a monopoly on repairs, they put consumers in a position to make decisions about whether to make a costly repair or, if they can afford to, buy a new device altogether. Lena Khan is, by the way, someone who, at the very least, on the issue of right to repair, is 100% on our side, understands the issue, understands what the manufacturers do. So I am rooting very much for Lena Khan, and it would be very cool to, at some point in time, actually meet her. I don't know. Maybe if she ever has time to show up to one of the repair workshops that we do at the store when I get back, I would be humbled and honored to have her by and say thank you for all the work that she is doing at the FTC. I think she is doing an amazing job at this, and I think she sees straight through most of the bullshit that comes out of places like TechNet and the manufacturers' lobbyists. So thumbs up to Lena Khan. Thank you very much for what you're doing here. Says, indeed, when manufacturers have an effective monopoly on repairs, they put consumers in a position to make decisions about whether to make a costly repair or if they can afford to buy a new device altogether. Apple, for example, was sued for consumer fraud for intentionally slowing its iPhone batteries, which state attorneys general argued caused consumers to prematurely buy new phones. If people were on hold to their electronic devices for longer rather than prematurely replace them, they would not only save money but contribute to a cleaner environment by significantly reducing electronic waste. Increasing competition is not only good for consumers, but also for small businesses. Many of those Main Street businesses have been struggling. David Webb, the owner of Hamilton Computer Repairs in Worcester, who, by the way, I visited on my lobbying trip, and thank you so much for speaking to the Boston Globe, has seen the demise of independently owned repair shops firsthand since he opened his store nearly a decade ago. When I opened, there were 11 computer repair shops in Worcester and one in each surrounding town, he said at a recent legislative hearing. Now, there are 3 in the county. And also, thank you very much, if you're watching this, Mr. Webb, for showing up to that legislative hearing, and I hope to see you on the lobbying day that we're having upcoming in a few weeks. Thank you very much to every single repair shop that I visited in Massachusetts for taking part in this and for listening to what we had to say. I really appreciate it. While Apple does share its technology with third-party shops through certification programs, it mostly does so at big-box retailers like Best Buy. Apple has licensed over 1,800 shops to repair their products. About 1,000 of them are Best Buys. Okay. Opening up their technology to any repair shop would only help bolster small, independently owned businesses. And having more businesses able to repair computers and phones would avoid crises like the early stage of the pandemic, where people were unable to fix their phones or computers in a timely fashion because big manufacturers closed their doors and consumers had few accessible alternatives, if any. This is partially true. The rest of this is bullshit. Even if you're a Best Buy and fully certified, can you get access to a charging port for an iPhone? No. Can you get access to a keyboard to a MacBook Pro? No. You can get access to maybe a top case if you're lucky. Can you get access to an LCD? No. You can get access to a display assembly. Can you get access to a charging chip for the motherboard? No. Can you get access to a USB-C controller chip for the USB-C ports for the motherboard, which fail all the time for no reason? No. You cannot get access to a number of things through that program. So even if you are a Best Buy, you will still not be able to do basic repairs in a manner that is economically viable to the customer. Customers do not want to pay $1,500 to fix an $1,800 computer. That is not viable. They will spend $100 or $200 or $300 or $400 or $500 to fix an $1,800 computer, not $1,500. But the tools that Apple provides Best Buy, admittedly, I don't expect them to get that much into this article, but it's important to note that what they're getting access to when they become authorized is garbage. Ultimately, the right to repair is not about cybersecurity risks. It's about accessibility and preventing predatory monopolies from making electronics a bigger cost burden for households, especially low-income ones. And though big manufacturers will claim that their interests lie in ensuring their customers' safety, the legislature, by passing the right to repair bill, would be the one to actually protect consumers. Nice job, Boston Globe. Nice job. Thank you so much for publishing this article. Thank you so much to the repair shops in Massachusetts that actually spoke to them, that decided to testify to legislature, that decided to speak to the local legislative body of people. One person in Salem Techsperts spoke to his senator and got her to co-sponsor the bill. He admitted in a video that I've linked to several times in this channel that he was sitting on the toilet, he was taking a shit, and he thought to himself while he was taking a shit, hey, maybe I should have had some more fiber. His store is in a Subway. Their sandwiches may not have a lot of fiber there. It's going to be a while. Let me type an email to my senator. And that email that he typed in the toilet led to her, who was a customer of his shop before, saying, sure, absolutely, I'd love to co-sponsor this legislation. A lot of people are cynical because they think, well, there's nothing I can do. There's no point. There's no progress. Nothing's ever going to happen. Nobody's going to listen to me. Honestly, you may be right, but you may be wrong. There's a chance you may be wrong. And when you're wrong, things like this happen. We make progress, we move forward, we're one step closer to having property rights again, where if something goes wrong with what we own, we can fix it, which is the way it should be, which is the way it was for hundreds and hundreds of years in this country up until very, very recently. And I really do have faith that if we had a culture for hundreds and hundreds of years of being self-reliant, of working on our own devices, of being able to fix our own stuff, that simply because for the past 30 to 35 years we've been moving away from that, there's far more precedent of us being towards that culture. It's a part of our history. We can get it back. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now.